Yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming to the special conference. We are very grateful to have our Ethiopian delegation here. And the topic for this conference is called Ethiopia, a sourcing destination with strong potential. And I'm very happy and pleased to welcome Mr. Antene Alebu, the Deputy Commissioner of the Ethiopian Investment Commission. Thank you so much for coming, Mr. Antene. I am grateful having Mr. Goshunegash, the President of Ethiopian Textile Manufacturers Association here all the way from Addis to Paris. Thank you so much for coming. Mr. Theodros Abraham, representative of Bolore Logistics and Managing Director of CLS Logistics in Ethiopia, a very famous logistic company, one of the leading in Ethiopia. I'm grateful to have you here. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And Mr. Ulrich Plein, the head of the textile division for the German technical collaboration from Ethiopia. We are so much proud having you on board. We worked for so long time together, and GIZ is a key partner when it comes to the textile activities in Ethiopia, especially for us as organizers. So Uli, thank you so much for coming to Paris. My name is Skandar Negazi. I am the CEO of Trade and Fairs Group in charge of Messe Frankfurt for East and Central Africa. And I would like to start with Mr. Antene. So, Mr. Antene, I know, and a lot of us know that the Ethiopia Investment Commission is one of Africa's most progressive investment agency, and we are very happy having you here and working with those agencies. So my question is, what is the Investment Commission's job within Ethiopia? What is your position within the government? What is the position of the Ethiopia Investment Commission within the Ethiopian government? And how is the atmosphere, the investment atmosphere in Ethiopia today, and especially when it comes to industrial parks? So maybe you would like to say some words on that.
Thank you very much, Skandar, for
it's not working.
inviting me.
You can take this off until it works. Oh, no, he's changing it. Oh, yes. That's battery issue.
1 minute.
Is it working? Okay. Okay.
Okay, all right. No, I think I can use this mic. Yeah. Thank you very much, Skandar, for inviting me to this very important event. So the Ethiopian Investment Commission is the main investment promotion agency in Ethiopia, government investment promotion agency. So institutionally, we're focused on three major activities, three major tasks. One of those tasks will be actually to promote the investment opportunities that Ethiopia has as a nation. But when we promote investment opportunities, there are two things that we consider. Mainly, we try to go in line with the national development agenda. We're now in the second stage of the national growth and transformation plan. So most of the investment areas that we promote in Ethiopia are actually derived from those main strategic points of view. And apart from that, when we promote investment opportunities in Ethiopia, we also have a division that's called Investment Policy Research and Investment Promotion Division. So what we do is, firstly, we conduct our deep dive sectoral studies. We look into the opportunities that we have, we develop our value proposition, and we identify through through our research potential target investors. What we do that after that will be actually a targeted promotion investment activity. So we identify the countries in relation to particular sectors that we want to promote, and once that happens, we go to investors directly, proactively, and then we try to attract those investors to Ethiopia. That has been how we were carrying out our investment promotion activities in Ethiopia. And once they come to Ethiopia, we also provide a hand-holding service. We have a one-stop shop service as the Ethiopian Investment Commission. In fact, we've been replicating this experience to the industrial parks that we have built in Ethiopia as well. And whenever investors face challenges, we try to deal with those challenges. So we're basically spokespersons of the investors that are already in Ethiopia. We go around talking to different government institutions, trying to resolve the issues, the challenges that they face from time to time. So these are usually the activities that we carry out at the Ethiopian Investment Commission. So institutionally, I think the most important thing that has been very decisive in shaping up the Ethiopian Investment Commission as an institution is actually the focus that has been given to the institution. Politically speaking, we're just accountable to the Prime Minister himself. Right. And there is a board, the Ethiopian Investment Board, which is again chaired by the Prime Minister himself. So whenever we want to present our recommendation to the government, including decisions or considerations for opening up of particular sectors, we bring it directly to the board, and once the board decides, we go into implementation. And about 6 months ago, actually, that was exactly what happened with the logistics sector. It was a sector which was only reserved for domestic investors. But in relation to the development of other industries in Ethiopia, we come up with the realization that it's important to open up the logistics sector in Ethiopia, because it is an enabling factor for the rest of the industries to fledge well in Ethiopia. So the board decided actually to open up partially the logistics sector. So those initiatives usually come from us, from the Ethiopian Investment Commission, and the fact that we're directly accountable to the Prime Minister means, politically speaking, we can be heard very directly and very quickly. And that's actually been very instrumental in shaping up our status as an investment promotion agency, and we're still trying to capitalize on that as well.
Thank you so much. Sounds great. As you know, more and more international investors having an eye on your industrial parks. Yes. And I would like to know, what is so special about your industrial park? Why are so many people interested in investing in those industrial parks? And please tell us something not only about the textile, but also about the leather.
Thank you very much again. So the issue of industrial parks, whenever investors come to invest in a developing country like Ethiopia, the first thing that they face is actually the provision of utilities, infrastructural challenges. And as a country, we are actually a very big country, geographically speaking, and in terms of population, we have more than 100 million population. So that means that infrastructural facilities that we have to provide have to really be very orchestrated, very centralized, very well organized. Yeah. And a way to do that will be actually to develop industrial parks. Developing industrial parks would mean providing immediate production sites, factory sheds. It would mean providing utilities, water, electricity, telecom service, and all those things. And even from a logistics point of view, we can bring the relevant institutions that are involved in the customs areas, in the handling of customs issues within the industrial parks. So that's one of the factors that's making industrial parks attractive in Ethiopia. And from a policy point of view, our industrial parks are export-oriented industrial parks, 100% for export purposes. Right. So whenever we attract investors, that's actually one of our main criteria. We identify investors that are able to export to the international market. And we're now, as you said, we're mainly focusing on the textile part, because one of the issues actually, it's a low-skill area, and we're trying to develop our capacity by starting from the textile and apparel sector. And apart from that, the leather sector is actually one of the areas that's most prioritized in Ethiopia's government consideration of economic development. And when it comes to the textile industry, we have now 2 industrial parks, privately owned industrial parks, that are completely focused on leather products. and the government is trying to build its own laser industry park right now, because one of the challenges with the laser industry is the sustainability issue, environmental issue, and making it environmentally clean is actually a very expensive investment. So now the government is planning to build a laser city, and that will actually provide a common facility of treatment facility, and all laser producers will go into that particular industrial park.
Yeah.
It will be a very huge one. So that will actually resolve one of the pertinent challenges that we have now in the laser sector, which is the environmental issue.
It's going to be the Mojo City, right?
Mojo Laser City, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Thank you so much. I think they're going to promote more on that in November. That's what I heard. UN is involved. We are very, very happy to hear more about that. Thank you so much, Mr. Antenne. And staying there, we would like to have some comments on investors who are already in the parks. I think Velocity is one. Would you like to say something about your experience in Ethiopia in the industrial park? How you feel over there? Please go ahead.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, so to what Mr. Antenev just said, I mean, I can confirm one of the reasons why we went to Ethiopia. We've been there for 2 years now, shipping. We came in, number one, because you have an extremely proactive government and investment committee. Like he mentioned, there literally you have a direct line, which we have not experienced in other countries like Ethiopia. Another reason why we came into the country is, you touched upon it as well, sustainability. The majority of the electricity is all hydropowered, so it's clean energy from the beginning, which was an extremely important point for us. And then also the fact that it has some of the lowest energy costs in the world. That I think it's around 0.02 cents per kilowatt. So that was also a very important factor for us coming in. Then I think one of the beauties perhaps about Ethiopia is it's a blank sheet of paper when you come in, right? We are starting an industry there, so we can do things the right way from the beginning, whether it's related to how you set up your factory, whether it's related to corporate social responsibility. That for us was a unique opportunity and one which we have benefited from in the 2 years that we've been there.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your comments. And I'm sure that you are very happy that Velocity is in Ethiopia. And I'm informed that we have another very, very important investor in town. So I would like to give the floor to you, ma'am. From Arbamich, maybe you can introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are Arbamich Textile. Please allow me first to make a self-introduction about who we are.
Yes, please.
Arbamich Textile actually used to be a state-owned factory. So it's a big corporation, but we acquired it in 2011. And from that, we started to have spinning and weaving. And then from there, we started to build another printing and dyeing factory in Sabata. So we have been running well, thanks to everything that Mr. Velocity has mentioned, because I think he took away my words. So we have only to confirm that we are enjoying a very good period here. Everything is fine. The country is beautiful. We love the people. I think that's all we can say.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, and thank you for coming and for your words. Staying at the industrial park, the impact of positive progress of the industrial park is, of course, for the employment, right? So I would like to give the floor to Mr. Ulrich Brein from GIZ, because GIZ and the German government is very active in terms of supporting the Ethiopian industrial park. What is GIZ doing? How does it support? And I also read in one of your magazines called Akzente that by 2022, the plan is to have 350,000 new employment in Ethiopia within the industrial park. 350,000 employment. Imagine that. So what is your role in supporting this idea?
Thank you, Skanda. GIZ is the German Development Corporation, and we are active in about 100 countries in the world. Ethiopia for us is the number 2, the second biggest portfolio worldwide, right after Afghanistan. And recently, one of the main activities in Ethiopia is supporting private sector development. So we're working with the textile and garment sector, as this has been identified by the Ethiopian government as one of the booming industries. And there we are supporting companies, international investors in the industrial parks, but we're also supporting the Industrial Park Development Corporation in their management of the park. We're also working with the local companies outside the industrial parks. And as you can see here, the final aim is to link the Ethiopian companies or international investors in Ethiopia to the international market. So what we do is we support them mainly in issues of productivity, of quality, but also in issues of social awareness to set up or to increase the standards when it comes to social or environmental issues, so that these companies are fit for international markets, and then we bring them to international trade fairs so that they meet their buyers, their customers for the future, and that in the end helps them to create jobs. Indeed, we are currently starting a new program which is mainly about job creation, and the plan is that, Ethiopia's plan is to create 350,000 new jobs in the textile sector, and you can see in the past two and a half years, only the two parks of Bole Lemi in Addis and the one in the south, Hawassa, have already created more than 30,000 new jobs. And we do believe that the goal until let's say 2021 to achieve 350,000 new jobs is feasible, and this is where we directly support by training, by creating capacity, and by bringing companies to international markets and creating business opportunities there.
And do you see growth since the beginning, since you have started those projects until now? Do you see the development within your projects?
Personally, I've been living and working in Ethiopia for more than 12 years. And when we started at that time, also supporting the garment sector, at that time there was almost no textile but only garment sector, it was not easy to connect the country to the world. A big push came with the establishment of the industrial parks. That was a change of, not only a change of paradigm, but really a change of the whole setup. And with that, international investors coming to the country, a job creation machine started basically. And we can, the situation we are facing today has nothing to do with the situation we have been facing 12 years ago. The sector has been growing, the investments made by government have been enormous, and I think the fruits are coming now. Now is the time to harvest from the investments which have been made in the past 5-6 years.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Plein. And I would like to come to a critical issue now, that everybody is well aware of the industrial parks. But there's a lot of issue when it comes to bringing the goods in the country and exporting the goods out of the country to Europe. We are talking about Europe. And I'm therefore so much grateful that Mr. Theodros is here from Boloro Logistics, or CLS, which is a very famous logistic company. And thank you so much for being here. I would like to know from you, what is the best route? How does the stuff get into the country? And what is the best way to get it to Europe? And do you see issues? Do you face problems? And if yes, how do you solve those problems?
Well, thank you, first of all, Skander, for inviting me. As you rightly said, we play a critical role in the value chain of movement of shipments. It's critical. Now, we have to realize that this is a new venture, or we are in the change management in the country, which means if you look at the past few years, like what Ulri was saying, the change that we've seen is fundamentally in a positive direction, especially the past few years. Now, as the country grows, the logistical services and systems and technologies have to develop together. Our key problems that we've seen in the past few years has been consistency all the way down from at all government levels, service providers in the value chain. Is it the customs? Is it Ministry of Transport? Is it port authorities? Is it airport authorities? Is to understand that when we're dealing with garments, it's a time-sensitive shipment. Time to market is key. So what you're saying, where do we see a problem and what is the solution? First of all, everyone in the value chain needs to understand what are we talking about when we decide to be the sourcing country for garments and textile at all level. And what is the impact of delays at every part of that value chain? If customs understand that indeed, unless they come on board, the delay could be critical. If port authorities don't understand it, if railway operators don't understand it, if Ethiopian Shipping Line don't understand, if Ethiopian Airlines do not understand, then at every level that you've got, so you've got a bottleneck. So what we're doing at the moment is, I'll talk a little bit about Bolloré CLS and the changes that EIC has provided us and where we're heading. But institutionally, we work through our association, which I am the vice president of our association, the Ethiopian Freight Forwarding and Logistic and Shipping Lines Association. What we're doing is we're bringing in all the stakeholders within the government authorities to align them so that we all have the same vision, the same understanding, and the same documentation. Key here is documentation. So for example, we've got investors from Armament. What they are importing as their resource for production could be quite different what Velocity is bringing in Mekelle. Go to Calzedonia, go to Awasa. It could be quite different. But the fundamental issue is this is all for export-oriented products or a contribution to that. So at the highest level and at the lowest level, there needs to be a consistency in terms of documentation process and systems that needs to be applied. Unless you have that consistency, and if it's not institutionally supported, then what tends to happen is it's individual based. And what we see at times, it is in fact individual based. So when a person leaves an office from either customs or railway or Ethiopian Airlines, then you start fresh again to educate those people. But now what we're doing is, can we have it institutionally, that we all agree that in terms of our processes and systems are effective. You can be efficient in a lot of things, but if you're not effective in what you're doing, it really, at the end of the day, you're embarking on something that's wrong. So now I come back to a bit to what part of the solution is. What Ethiopian Investment Commission, we've been asking for this for the past 5 years, to liberalize the industry. Because without having an effective logistics solutions, it'd be critical and almost impossible for our investors to come in and be able to move their shipments in and out. Now, what does that allow us? For example, if you look at our organization, CLS, we're partnering with Bolloré. We've been their representative for the past 12 years in Ethiopia, so we've worked closely with Bolloré. But now having them create an equity stake in our company or putting together a JV together allows us to be able to learn from and also expect to have, in terms of technology or systems and the whole global network, access to that. Could be, again, to be able to do an end-to-end solution with one company. That allows us and creates confidence within the investors. They're dealing with a global company. This is what, at the end of it, that's the one of the solution could be. Now, which route should it go? We've got Ethiopian Railway now coming all the way to Mojo and then all the way to Addis and Dode that it's reached. So one way for us as a country would be able to utilize the railway effectively. Today, we have perhaps one train every day that come in and going. We could increase that. Kenya does 7 times a day. So we need to learn on how to manage that better so that at least it's effective and we benefit from the economies of scale that one gets out of a train. Policies are changing in such a way, we'll talk more in details tomorrow about it, but in terms of having a consolidation, deconsolidation units for freight forwarders, be able to have bonded warehouses so that, again, we create that economies of scale. Not every investor needs to have their own warehouses, but logistic 3PLs tend to have bonded warehouses, and we create, again, that economies of scale. Okay. So we're working very closely with the government, and especially EIC and Prime Minister's office, to be able to implement these different interventions. A lot of things need to happen, but these are fundamental. If we start somewhere, then we'll continue. Give you one more example before I end. Is customs need to require, or they used to require, more than 30 kinds of documents when you're importing. Ethiopian customs today requires only 14 documents, so they've scaled it down to only 14. Now we need to agree, those 14 actually imply at all level, so it's consistent. And it's not, again, individual based, and it's all about education and training, and that's coming through, and we appreciate EIC's strong support in this, so thank you.
Yeah.
I hope that answers.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Teddy. And I assume that the Ethiopian government, I will ask you on behalf of the Ethiopian government, is supporting this direction, right? This development.
Yeah, if I may add one point.
Sure.
I think this works now. So just you reminded me of this one particular point related to the customs issue. Yeah, they used to require about 30 documents. Now they have reduced it to 14 documents. Now we're asking them to reduce it even more.
Yes.
And that's actually part of the initiative that's being championed by the Prime Minister himself, the Ease of Doing Business initiative.
Yeah.
In the World Bank Group's ranking on ease of doing business, we not really impressive in terms of the rank, in terms of the scores. We realized that, and we brought the Prime Minister's office on board, because we realized that whatever we do at the Ethiopian Investment Commission, unless the other institutions that are in the investment landscape are not up to par, it wouldn't mean anything. So now we're working with at least 10 government institutions, and we're asking them to reduce their procedures, to make their process very efficient, and hopefully after a year, this particular initiative will also add lots of impetus to the investment climate improvement in Ethiopia. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Antenna. When, let's say when we have those investors and companies on board in Ethiopia, I think, Mr. Goshu, you will have a key role there as the president of the Ethiopian Textile and Garment Manufacturers Association. How do you support those new factories, those new members? How do they become members of your association? What is the benefit of being a member, and what do you do for them in the region?
Thank you, Skandar, for giving me this opportunity to reflect the association's tasks in this important event. The Ethiopian Textile and Apparel Manufacturers Association has around 90 active members at present, and we have around 200 other companies which are on the process of joining us. And the association, among others, has 3 major tasks that it executes. One is the advocacy issue, where whenever we have problems with government and government bodies, we represent our member companies and present our problems to the government body, and then the government body, after conducting studies and continuous discussions, solve problems of tax issue or other issues which are very important to the operators.
Right.
The other issue that we are dealing is capacity building issues, together with our partners like GIZ and other partners in the country. What we do is we identify critical capacity issue of the companies, and then we intervene with the support of our partners, government, or on our own. So capacity building issue of individual companies or group of companies is dealt with our association. Mm-hmm. The third one is we also deal in matchmaking tasks like finding market, and whenever it is possible, organizing with our partners for our member companies to participate in trade shows, fairs like this show.
Yes.
So these are some of the major tasks that we undertake. As my colleague from the EIC have indicated now, things are really becoming very smooth, but I cannot deny that we had ups and downs before, the government has changed its strategy and direction. So our member companies have passed through a lot of hurdles, but now, given that the government has understood all the problems and is ready to streamline all the problems, our member companies are benefiting from this change. So in any case, beyond this, the association is ready to support whoever is interested to come and invest in Ethiopia by providing information and any support that that is not given by the AIC, because sometimes the direct investment issue and others may not, outside the, we have also members of companies with foreign direct investors, but outside the industrial parks.
Yeah.
So whatever issue that a company has, we can support in whatever form, for the companies who come to invest in Ethiopia.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gosho. I can say from my personal experience that there's also an additional difference between Ethiopia and the other manufacturing hubs, let's say from Asia, is that Ethiopia is really much taking care of sustainability. That is something that is unique, and today, as you know, a lot of buyers are changing their perception when it comes to buying goods and let's say child laborhood or very low salary and environmental problems, etc., etc. And I think Ethiopia has learned from other regions and is doing this better. I'm sure you will confirm that GIZ is also supporting those directions, the sustainability, and and we have. This is why we are also having a trade show in your country, in Ethiopia. Because of that, we want to show to the world that we have to take care of sustainability, and we feel personally that Ethiopia is a place where we can promote this best. And I'm therefore very grateful that you are all here. And I would like to give the floor to our visitors, which are key. Without you, we could not sit here and talk. So please ask some question. Now we have somebody from the embassy.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks very much. I would like to thank you first and foremost for organizing this panel, and I would like to thank all the panelists for their interventions. I took the floor just to add other good news about Ethiopia. I don't know how many of you know that the Ethiopian economy has now become one of the largest economies in the East Africa. It has reached that status. It is the largest economy in East Africa. Ethiopian economy is the largest economy in East Africa. You know also that the middle class is fast emerging in Ethiopia, faster than anywhere else in Africa. And it's a purchasing power, isn't it? Emergence of middle class means a purchasing power, huge domestic market. Just today, I got a news that the European Union has declared Addis Ababa as the world's capital of culture and tourism. I guess most of you would know that Brussels, what Brussels is about EU, is the political capital of the European Union. New York, we pride as the political capital of the globe, isn't it? Addis Ababa is the political and diplomatic capital of Africa. Now, in addition to that, it has already gained this status. The European Union has declared Addis Ababa as the world's capital of culture and the tourism. This is another greatest success. Therefore, all of our partners, all this we achieved through our deliberate interventions, huge efforts.
Yeah.
The recent past, we have been doing a lot of things over the last many years, but activities over the last 9 months or 8 months have been historic, unprecedented, both in political and economic reform. Anthony talked about it earlier on. Therefore, Ethiopia delivers huge opportunities and potential. So encourage your companies to invest in Ethiopia. Tell others, be our unpaid ambassadors. Hence, your colleagues, your partners, or your accountants can come and invest in Ethiopia for a win-win outcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a good. This was even better than our promotion. Thank you so much. So you have it. You have it from our embassy gentleman there. Thank you so much. And all the French can speak to him. He will tell you more. But I would like to give the floor to you now. Is there any question about the country, about investment, about issues, about whatever? Now it's the chance. I feel like you're smiling, so I would like to... Or do you have a comment?
Everybody pushing me to visit
Yes.
Ethiopia. So I said first, everybody pushing me to visit Ethiopia for investment from Bangladesh, from Morocco. So I said first I come here and look, and then
Yes.
probably very soon I'll come.
Yes.
So you're almost
and
there.
as you see, those gentlemen don't look shocking, so you can come to Ethiopia and you see they're all smiling, so that's fine. Who else is here? You kept writing all these thick figures. I would like to have something from you too. He was writing the whole time.
Who should I get in touch with to organize a trip to Ethiopia?
Oh, are you from here, from Paris?
No, we're based in Bangladesh, but we also have an office in the U.S.
Yes, in Bangladesh we have a Messe Frankfurt office,
Okay.
and they will help you to go to Ethiopia. They work very closely with
Skander.
us.
Here you have
Yes.
my contact details.
Exactly. Let's exchange business cards. You're most welcome.
Yes. But if you in both countries we have offices. In the US and also in Bangladesh, we have offices, and they will get you in touch with the embassy over there. It's very easy. We have done it many times, and we have a group of Bangladesh always going there to our trade show. I would like to get some more. But Madame from Bolore, she wants to say something. Come on.
He explained very well also.
I'm sure.
So no, but if you have some question about the logistic and some issue in Ethiopia, but it's a very, very good opportunity, Ethiopia now. There are a lot of investment, and you have to go very quickly because a lot of people are looking for Ethiopia. And yes, they are very welcome, very welcome.
Yes, as we say, if you are fast, then it's cheap. If you are late, it becomes very expensive. So, yes, madam.
Hi, good afternoon. We are from a company based in Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. We are fabric printing and ready-to-wear company. And we've been looking to work with other countries within Africa.
Yes.
So far, you've been talking about manufacturing for Europe and America. I'm just wondering, do you manufacture for other African countries, and how easy would it be to do that?
I think Mr. Gosho is the best person to answer that.
But before I answer the question, I would like to know what kind of printing are you making? Is it screen printing, rotary printing, or I would like to know the details so that rotary printing. Rotary printing. Okay. So you're looking for gray fabric, was it?
No. We are looking for more for manufacturing or for ready-to-wear.
Okay. There are Okay. There are about 4 big integrated mills where you have spinning, weaving, and processing. As far as I remember, the 3 of them have 8 color rotary printers. So depending on the kind of print you want, whether it is reactive or pigment print, depending on what you want, then you're most welcome. We can make the connection with the individual companies, and then. And as far as I remember, we only make pigment print. Okay.
Great. So we already got one connection between Arba, Mitch, and her. That's her.
Hi there, honey. We are the one you're looking for.
So that is great. And you can also visit the Africa's biggest textile show in Addis Ababa in November. Then you're going to meet everybody. And who else? Would you like to say something? No, a business card is not enough. You have to say something.
Why you want the business card?
We don't give it for free.
We just arrived. We didn't hear the whole conversation, but we hear a lot of opportunities in Ethiopia.
Okay.
We are from Belgium. We are garment manufacturers, so we are always looking for new opportunities.
Oh, great. I think you should have the business card of Mr. Gusho. He will be of great support for you, because all the factories are under his roof.
If it helps, we have on-techs from Belgium already in Ethiopia. Sorry. If it helps, we have on-techs from Belgium manufacturing baby diapers in Ethiopia as well. So that could be a good entry point for you as well.
Okay. Thank you very much. And somebody else? Madam, would you like to say anything? Why are you here? Tell us.
But I'm here in this exhibition for the first time.
Yes.
I'm organizing a startup, a marketplace with an original concept. And the idea is to support the textile industry and the apparel industry. So it's, of course, Ethiopia is a little bit far away from my world. And that's why I was curious about and discovering this area.
Thanks so much. Thank you, madam. Did we get your notes? Oh, that's so important. You were the first to come here, so you should say something.
I already have the card because I want the list of all the manufacturers we can meet.
But as you know, a card is not for free. You have to say something.
Yes.
Yes.
I will keep in touch.
Yes, you will? Fine. Great. Thank you so much. Ma'am?
The question I had is, considering that there's been so many changes that's been made in the last 12 years, as you've said, how are investors keeping up with these changes? How are they communicated? And how can an investor be proactive to make sure that we know about these changes as well?
There's one microphone for Mr. Antenna.
Thank you very much for the question. So when it comes to foreign direct investors, and we're actually legally mandated to deal with we're mandated to deal with foreign investors in Ethiopia. So we occasionally organize what we call PPD forums, public-private dialogue forums. And these forums are actually meant to bring the challenges that foreign investors face in Ethiopia to the relevant organizations. And in fact, speaking from the point of industrial parks, for every industrial park, we have investors associations. So the biggest investors associations is the Hawassa Industrial Park Investors Association, because it's basically the first and biggest industrial park that we have in Ethiopia, from government point of view, of course.
Right.
So what we do is we tell them to come up with questions, challenges that they're facing on a monthly basis. So for instance, if in the month of February, the issue is about customs and taxation related issues, we'll consolidate those issues, and we'll talk to the customs and tax officials, and then we'll organize a forum where these questions will be addressed. If the questions are to be addressed within a short period of time, then they will receive answers right away. But if they need some institutional and policy adjustment, then we'll help those institutions we'll encourage them to take those policy readjustments, structural readjustments. So these are usually the kinds of forums that we organize for investors, and we do it almost on a daily basis for the different investors that are in Ethiopia, foreign investors that are in Ethiopia.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Yeah, maybe we can have a talk after, but I was looking for some more information about the city of leather and leather opportunities in Ethiopia.
Okay. And then I would like to inform you that in November we have Africa's biggest leather event, also in Ethiopia. You will get to know more about that. Please check this as well. And then maybe Mr. Antena can say something.
Yeah. So in terms of light manufacturing, there are about 5 or 6 industries that we're promoting mainstream. And one is leather and leather products. We're doing this because we have huge potential for leather products. In Africa, we have the largest livestock population. and only we've been able to use about 50% of the hides and skins that are available in the Ethiopian market. So that represents actually a very huge market. And apart from that, in terms of market, we have duty-free access to American market through the African Growth Opportunity Act, AGOA. We also have duty-free access to European markets through the Everything But Arms duty-free privilege. And apart from that, we've agreement with about 16 nations that avoids double taxation and customs free agreement with about 16 nations. So in terms of potential, both raw material potential, market sources, we have huge potential. But like I was mentioning earlier, one of the challenges that we're facing in the leather industry is the issue of sustainability, because from an environmental point of view, well, the sourcing companies, they need to comply with their environmental standards. But environmental investment for the leather industry is a very huge one. It's a very expensive one. And the government is now developing a strategy to help private companies to somehow share the cost of these environmental control mechanisms. And apart from that, like I was saying earlier, the government is trying to build an industrial city that will be dedicated to leather products, a Mojo Leather City. So when that comes to completion, I'm sure it will improve the leather industry in Ethiopia in a very huge manner. It will be transformative. So the potential is huge. The raw material is available. Labor is, we have one of the lowest, probably I would say, we're globally very competitive in terms of wage costs. Okay. Energy, one of the cheapest in the world. So all the potentials are there, and if you come to invest, if you're interested in investing in the leather sector, I would say you've chosen one of the most important and the most favorable industries in Ethiopia. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to say a few words on the question, a follow-up response on the question raised by my sister here. So the Ethiopian foreign policy, the crux, the alpha and omega of the Ethiopian foreign policy is promoting economic diplomacy, conducting economic diplomacy. Therefore, this includes promotion of investment, attracting foreign direct investment, trade, tourism, etc., etc. Therefore, we have, as Ethiopia, 60 embassies around the world, 60 diplomatic missions around the world. Their first and second, third priority is promoting economic diplomacy. So whenever you see our embassies, please contact them. Contact them. It is their priority. Number one, number two, number three. I myself, my name is Isaias. I'm deputy head of mission here in our embassy in Paris. I have two colleagues here with me, the gentleman over there, the young lady over there. So all of us are here to serve and to serve our country, and therefore to serve our partners here, the potential investors or the actual investors. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think this looked like closing remarks for all of us. Huh? So I would like to take the opportunity to thank you for being here. Without you, we could not be on the theater. So thank you so much, especially to all the guests who have come here. And of course, for you, especially Mr. Antenne, that you came all the way from Addis Abeba, Mr. Goshu, and Mr. Tedros, and our friend from GIZ, Mr. Ulrich Plein. Thank you for all your support you have given us. And yeah, I would like to close. And thanks, and have a good evening. You take care.
And of course to you, as our moderator.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job.